AITA for publicly shaming my husband on social media after I found out he was sexting my best friend, even though I never gave him a chance to explain. The notification that ruined my marriage came at 2:14 a.m. I wasn't supposed to see it. His phone had buzzed against the nightstand while he was in the shower. Normally, I would never snoop, but the preview lit up the screen just long enough for my stomach to drop. A string of messages from her, my best friend of 12 years. Flirty emojis, half-sent phrases, my husband's name in her contact photo. Something inside me cracked. I opened the phone, my hands trembling, heart pounding in my ears. What I found made my blood run cold. Dozens of messages, some deleted but partially recoverable, painting a picture of a secret relationship I hadn't even suspected. It wasn't just casual banter. It was sexting. Explicit, detailed, emotional. And it wasn't just one drunken night of mistakes. The thread went back months. My husband, my best friend, behind my back. I didn't wait for him to come out of the shower. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Something inside me turned to fire and I opened Facebook. Without hesitation, I screenshotted the entire conversation, every filthy word, every photo, every hidden "I wish I could be with you right now." Then I posted it. Publicly, not just to friends, to everyone. "Here is what loyalty looks like," I wrote. "My husband of 4 years and the woman I called my sister. If you've ever wondered why I've been distant lately, this is why." Within minutes, the post exploded. Hundreds of reactions, comments flooding in. Some were horrified, some supportive, some gleefully watching the drama unfold. By the time he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, his phone was already buzzing non-stop. He froze in the doorway, face pale as death. What did you do?" I turned the screen toward him. "Explain it now." But there was no time for explanations. His mother had already called. His boss had seen it. My own relatives were texting me, demanding answers. The scandal had gone viral in our community. He stammered something about context, about me not understanding, about it not being what it looked like. But I was deaf to it. I didn't want explanations. I wanted him to feel the humiliation I felt when I realized the two people I trusted most had been betraying me in the most intimate way possible. My best friend blocked me instantly. My husband tried to grab the phone, begged me to take the post down, swore he could explain everything if I just gave him a chance. But I couldn't, because for the first time in my life, I felt like I had power in a situation where they had stripped it from me. The fallout was immediate. His family turned on me, accusing me of destroying his career by airing dirty laundry publicly. Some of my own friends told me I had gone too far, that I should have confronted him privately instead of turning it into a spectacle. But others praised me. They said I was brave, that I had exposed the truth, that I had saved other women from wasting years on a man like him. Now, days later, my husband has moved out. Hayes begging for another chance, claiming nothing physical ever happened, that it was just fantasy talk that got out of control. He says it ruined his reputation, his job, his entire life over a mistake he could have explained if it just asked. Part of me wonders if I overreacted, if blasting him online without hearing him out made me just as cruel as he was careless. But another part of me remembers the gut punch of betrayal, the way he laughed in those messages with her, the way he confided in her instead of me. So here I am, wondering, AITA for shaming my husband publicly, for dragging everything into the light, even though I never gave him a chance to explain. Continuation, the fallout the morning after my post felt like waking up inside a hurricane. I had barely slept. My phone buzzed non-stop with notifications, messages, and missed calls. When I finally opened it, I was overwhelmed, hundreds of comments, some supportive, others vicious, and countless private DMs. Everyone had an opinion. "You're brave. You're petty? Good for you. You should have handled this privately." But the one message that cut deepest came from my mother. "Sweetheart, are you sure this was the right way? Once something's public, you can't take it back." Her words lodged in my chest like a splinter. Meanwhile, my husband was living in damage control mode. He bombarded me with texts. "Please take it down. My boss saw it. I could lose my job. We need to talk. It wasn't what it looked like. You didn't even let me explain. That's not fair. I never touched her. It was just words. Please believe me. Each message made me angrier. The man who had been laughing in those messages with my best friend was now playing the victim because I refused to keep his secret. And my best friend. She stayed silent. Blocked me? No explanation. No apology. Just vanished from my life like the coward she was. But the fallout extended beyond our small circle. At work, people whispered behind my back. One coworker pulled me aside and said, "I saw your post. Honestly, respect. But, people are talking, right?" I became the woman who blew up her own marriage on Facebook. Some called me bold. Others called me unhinged. The truth, I wasn't sure which one I was anymore. That night, my husband showed up at my door. He looked wrecked, disheveled, exhausted, eyes red from crying. He begged me to let him in. Against my better judgment, I did. "Listen," he started, his voice cracking. "I swear to you, nothing physical happened. It was sexting, yes, but it was a stupid, disgusting fantasy. I never touched her. I never planned to. It was a mistake." I stared at him, numb. A mistake. Sexting my best friend for months. That's not a mistake. That's a decision you made over and over again. He collapsed into a chair, burying his face in his hands. "I know. I'm a piece of shit. But did you have to post it? Did you have to destroy me like that? You ruined my reputation, my career. Don't you dare," I snapped, cutting him off. "You ruined me? You ruined our marriage. You ruined 12 years of friendship. I just made sure people saw the truth." He looked up at me then, eyes full of desperation. "If you had just asked, if you had given me 5 minutes to explain before blowing everything up, maybe we could fixed it. You didn't just expose me. You exposed yourself too." The words stung, because in a way, he was right. I hadn't paused. I hadn't confronted him first. I had gone nuclear instantly. And while I didn't regret exposing him, I regretted that my pain was now a public spectacle, dissected by strangers like reality TV drama. The following weeks were chaos. His family refused to speak to me, blaming me for ruining his life. Some mutual friends unfollowed me, clearly uncomfortable with picking sides. Others sent late-night texts like, "Honestly, I never trusted him. You did the right thing." My best friend. Still silent, but through the grapevine, I heard she had quietly moved away. And me? I was stuck in limbo. Half of me felt empowered, like I had finally taken control after being betrayed so deeply. The other half felt hollow, as if revenge had left me emptier than before. Then came the letter. One afternoon, I found an envelope slipped under my door. No stamp. No return address. Just my name. Inside, in my best friend's handwriting, were the words, "It wasn't what you think. He told me things about your marriage. I thought he loved me. I thought you didn't. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." I read it over and over, shaking with fury. She was trying to justify it, to twist it, to put the blame back on me as if my supposed failures had forced them together. It was the ultimate betrayal, not just the sexting, but the rewriting of history. The audacity to paint herself as a victim. I burned the letter. Now, months later, my husband and I are separated. Divorce papers are in progress. The public scandal has died down, replaced by newer gossip. But the damage remains. Sometimes, late at night, I ask myself, did I go too far? Should I have confronted him privately first? Did my rage make me just as cruel as his betrayal? But then I remember the messages, the laughter, the intimacy he shared with her instead of me. And I know one thing for certain, I may have lost a marriage. I may have lost a friend. But I also lost the weight of living with a lie. And maybe that's the only thing that matters. Continuation, the aftermath of exposure. The day I finally filed for divorce, the courthouse smelled like stale coffee and disinfectant. I remember standing there with trembling hands as I signed the paperwork, my pen scratching across the page like a blade carving the end of a chapter I never wanted to write. He wasn't there. My lawyer told me had hired his own representation and planned to contest unreasonable emotional damages. That was lawyer speak for, "He's going to use your social media post against you." At first, I laughed bitterly. The man who shattered my trust was now trying to paint himself as the victim of online humiliation. But my laughter died when I realized courts didn't always care about emotional truths, they cared about what was written down. And I had written plenty. Screenshots, accusations, sarcasm laced with rage. And once it was on the internet, it was forever. Meanwhile, his life crumbled in ways I didn't expect. He lost a promotion at work. His company quietly dropped him from consideration for leadership after personal issues became public. His family closed ranks, whispering about how I had destroyed his future. I knew I hadn't ruined him. He had ruined himself. But public perception is a tricky beast. And in his narrative, I was the one who chose humiliation over dignity. As the weeks dragged on, I began to feel the isolation settle in. Friends who once cheered me on disappeared when the legal mess started. It's easy to say, "Good for you, Queen," when you're liking a viral Facebook post. It's harder to stand by someone when subpoenas arrive. The loneliness made me question myself. Nights became a carousel of doubt. Did I ruin my chance at a fair divorce by going public? Was he right? Should I have let him explain first? What if I end up looking like the villain in court? I hated myself for asking those questions, but they clawed at me all the same. Then came the first court hearing. He sat across from me, his once familiar face now twisted by bitterness. He avoided my eyes, but his lawyer didn't. His lawyer smirked like a wolf ready to devour. They presented my social media post as evidence of malicious intent. They claimed I had deliberately sought to ruin his reputation rather than handle the matter privately. They called it cyber harassment. I wanted to scream. What about the sexts? What about the betrayal? But the lawyer shrugged it off as a lapse in judgment and private communication taken out of context. It hit me then this wasn't about truth. It was about who told the better story. And then she returned. My ex-best friend. Out of nowhere, she requested to be a witness in the case. At first, my stomach churned with rage. How dare she? But then I realized, maybe she was going to confess. Maybe she would finally admit to what they had done. When she took the stand, my heart hammered in my chest. But her words shattered me. She testified that my husband had confided in her about how unhappy he was in our marriage, how I was cold and distant, how he felt neglected. She painted the sexting as emotional support gone too far. And when the lawyer asked her why she hadn't spoken sooner, she looked at me with crocodile tears and whispered I didn't want to hurt her more than I already did. Gaslighting, manipulation, rewriting history all over again? I wanted to leap from my seat and scream at her, to remind the room that she wasn't some innocent bystander, she was a willing participant. But the court isn't built for raw emotion. It's built for strategy. And in that moment, their strategy was working. After the hearing, I cornered her outside the courthouse. "Why are you doing this?" I hissed, my voice shaking. She looked at me, lips curling into a faint smile that the judge never saw. "Because you chose to humiliate him. You made me look like a homewrecker in front of everyone. This is just balance. Balance." That word nearly broke me. As if betrayal and lies could ever balance out. The divorce dragged on for months. Every hearing felt like a battle I wasn't prepared for. He leveraged my anger, my public outburst, as proof that I was unstable. My ex-best friend lingered like a ghost at his side, her testimony twisting the knife deeper each time. But then, one night, fate handed me a weapon. While sorting through old files on a shared laptop we once owned, I stumbled upon something he had failed to delete, an archive of conversations between him and her. Explicit, cruel, full of jokes at my expense, full of promises. And buried inside were not just sexts but messages where she pushed him to leave me, where she mocked me for being too stupid to notice, where she confessed she liked the thrill of taking what wasn't hers. It wasn't emotional support. It wasn't innocent. It was calculated. I sent everything to my lawyer. At the next hearing, their faces drained of color when those messages were read aloud. The courtroom that had once tilted in his favor shifted toward me. The judge leaned back, unimpressed with their narrative. Suddenly, their story of emotional support crumbled into ashes. It didn't erase the humiliation I had endured, but it gave me a victory I desperately needed. The divorce was finalized months later. I walked away with a fair settlement and, more importantly, the undeniable proof that I had not been the villain in this story. He left town shortly after, his reputation shredded far beyond what my post had ever done. She vanished, 2 rumors said she moved states away, chasing a new start where no one knew her name. And me? I was left picking up the pieces of a life scorched by betrayal. Some nights, the silence of my apartment still feels like a punishment. But other nights, it feels like freedom. Because the truth is, I would rather live alone in honesty than be chained to lies wrapped in love.